Hi, welcome to the third installment in the Erotic School. I'm going to remind you that we started in 2025 this series in which I post in the community tab a theoretical case, a challenging case for intimacy. And then underneath it, I put several voting options. You guys vote, then we discuss. So here's the third case. I'm going to put the whole thing on screen and read it to you. A person is going on dates seeking a long-term partner. However, the people truly desirable to them, the ones they'd marry on the spot, aren't interested in our person. What would you recommend in this case? What you see underneath it is also the caveat that this was inspired by a TikTok stitch, starting with a young man confessing this sad situation. So now let's look at the options. The first one, date the next best person. Only one vote. Second, take a break from dating and contemplate on the situation. 7 votes. Third, use offline matchmaking agencies or attend dating events. 2 votes. And lastly, the fourth option, seek insights on social media, forums, groups, etc. 2 votes. All right, now let's start talking about this. First of all, the TikTok stitch that inspired this was of a young man, so in his 20s, who was conventionally attractive, okay, like really pleasant to look at appearance. His manner of speaking was respectful, vulnerable, and very honest. Okay, that I didn't detect in his voice that he was some condescending, bitter dude. No, so no douchebag. And he just had this life situation, and he shared it. And the woman who stitched it, first of all, said that she really appreciates the guy and she has no bad energy for him, no nothing. Like she wasn't angry or anything. Her point was that, the point that she was trying to make was that men in this situation, when they don't find the person that they truly want, or they don't, it's not reciprocated, they just go and date somebody else, whom obviously they don't really want to date. And her point was, why can't men stay single until they meet the person that they truly want and she wants them back? She didn't have answers for it. She again stated that she really appreciated the guy and her heart went out to him because of that painful situation he was confessing. And she was hoping that he would eventually find somebody whom he truly wanted. Now, I also have to say that the algorithm showed me another situation. Like when I scrolled past that video, I came a few videos down to the confession of a woman in her 50s. This woman was married. She had an adult, a grown-up daughter who had already moved from the parents' home. And she said that a few days before filming that video, her husband came home out of the blue to tell her that he never truly loved her, that the woman, the only woman he truly loved, walked away, and he married her just because, and that was it. This woman, she didn't cry, she didn't, okay, this was a grown-up woman, okay, in her 50s. She was just really vulnerable, and she said, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with this information. I gave my life to this man, so they married really early on. I built a family with him. I'm also still working, so she's in her 50s, still working. And I don't know what I should do with this. And she was asking people for, their opinions. So this connects to the case that we have here, okay? The people we truly want, maybe sometimes they don't want us back. And some of us decide to remain single and wait until we meet the right person. Others date or even marry and form families with somebody whom they truly don't want, but because the person they truly wanted left them, didn't want them, rejected them, etc. So this whole thing is really more complicated. Also, again, for the context here, when I shared this, so the whole poll, I put it on my Instagram in stories. And I got a reaction in private from one of my followers. This is a woman, 30 plus, divorced with a child. And she said, this situation, even if you were to date somebody whom you don't truly want, but still be in the position to date, is not really accessible to everybody. In our patriarchal society, a woman already in her 30s with a child from a previous marriage can't really date anymore. The men who are fathers, divorced, and then free to go on their own, they can't date again. Women, not the same thing. And I told her that I really feel for her, and I understand that this is a really stupid way of people looking at others as objects. Okay, sometimes men are looked at just as a walking wallet, whereas women are looked at as walking wombs or walking resting places for their genitalia. So this is overall, the world, the collective on this planet is not very evolved. You can say whatever about me for saying this. This is the truth, the one that I see at least. Not a lot of people are truly evolved to understand that a person has value for the entirety of their life. And not a lot of people understand that if you truly like somebody, you're going to like them even with their graying hair, with their fine or deep wrinkles, with their sagging skin, with their loss of muscle mass, with their inability to walk as well as they did or work out as well as they did in their youth and so on. Okay, if you really like somebody, okay, if they touched your soul, then you're going to like them for the rest of your life. A lot of people are just emotionally wounded and disconnected from their soul that they can't do that. Okay, psychologists call this trauma or traumatic memories. And post-traumatic PTSD symptom, post-traumatic stress disorder. Sorry, I'm not a psychologist. But there's also this. Then there's complex PTSD, okay? People who went through a lot of trauma growing up. And that's even worse or more difficult to heal from. So there's a lot of situations that can lead to people not finding their match. And what I would definitely avoid doing in this situation would be freely giving advice to people. Let's take the options now. The first one, date the next best person. I am very happy that only one person, this is the least voted in the poll. I'm very happy for this. This is not the way to go about it, okay? This is just, you're bringing misery to yourself, ultimately, but also to other people, potentially your children also. I don't think, you pass on your wounds and your traumas to others. I don't think society needs that anymore. And I don't think, you can do other things with your life, even if you're a man, even if you're a woman. There are other ways in which you can have a fulfilled life, and that doesn't have to be marrying somebody just for the sake of marrying them, or being in a relationship for the sake of being in a relationship. That is an interaction devoid of emotions. That's no way to live. So I'm gonna leave it at that. Let's move on to the second one. Take a break from dating and contemplate on the situation. Absolutely. This one was the most voted. Definitely. Take a break and see what's going on. Okay? For instance, in the stitch that I saw that inspired this video, the man who was the young man in that video, he was conventionally attractive. His speaking was really vulnerable and sincere. So my thought was, maybe you're just, a bit of a, how do I say this? A bit of a goofball. And you like women who are a bit more, they kind of like a different kind of dudes, okay? Or another thought that I had, maybe in the environment he's in, a lot of people laugh at this guy to his face, behind his back. And maybe that kind of attitude makes women to steer clear from him. And I also was the recipient of this, okay? On the other opposite, okay? I was too bitchy, seen. I was the president of an NGO. And whenever I liked somebody, wow, there were a lot of women around me who said that I was too masculine. So, not the case, okay? Not the case. But, you know, people are just... If somebody is not according to the societal standard, you get plastered with a lot of labels on you, and people say that about you, and then others, you know, they hear that and they just walk a mile away from you. Sadly, this is where we're at, and this is the thought that I had listening to that young man in that stitch. Quick message here. If you find this useful, remember you can always support me via my Patreon account. It's linked under this video or in the channel description. Thanks so much, and let's go back to the video. Okay, moving on. The third option, use offline matchmaking agencies or attend dating events. So I definitely recommend this one, although with today's online hookup apps, I think people are not so willing to invest time and money in a matchmaking agency, though I feel that that is a much more, a much safer option and a much more strategic one. So first of all, in this agency, everybody pays. Okay, so everybody's serious about it. In the dating apps, people are just, yeah, it's low cost, low effort, therefore they're not that serious. They can always pull away, back off, whatever. Here, with matchmaking agencies, unless you're really serious about it, you don't really invest the time and the energy. Secondly, in these dating and matchmaking agencies, you get an interview, you get a profile done. Okay, so somebody asks a lot of details about you. And if they pick up that you have some stuff to work on, some issues that may make it difficult for you to date, they will definitely let you know. Because if you want to move on and start, you know, being matched with various people and therefore invest more, they want to make sure that you also get the results, okay? It's good for them also. So if they see that you have some issues that might make it difficult for you down the line to relate, then they're going to recommend that you go to therapy with one of their counselors or anybody else. Like, it's not mandatory that you seek their options. So that needs to be said. I think that these are not appreciated enough when they're done correctly. When people just want to get a business going and pump money out of others, then they just, you know, take their money and send them, and here you go, and if this isn't good, then we try some more, so you invest some more cash and then so on. But some of those matchmaking agencies are a bit more thorough if they care about their branding. I remember one, I don't know if it still exists, it was called Umbrella for Two. Check it out if it still exists. If not, other matchmaking agencies that are really serious about things, okay? Lastly, seek insights on social media, forums, groups, etc. I don't recommend that one unless you tried all other options before and you ran out of them. Too many people give free advice and not informed, not trained advice just because, I don't know, they want to feel like gods. And sometimes they're well-intended, but they forget that their life experience and their perception on things and their way of understanding things doesn't apply to others. So really, free advice based on... No, it's not the best way to go about it. The best support that you can get is actually exactly what happens in counseling, what happens in coaching, what happens in therapy. Talks and discussions and questions meant to help you get clarity on where your blockages are at, on where your patterns that don't help you are manifesting, and so on. Okay? This is the best way to get help. So that's why the last option is really the least recommendable, or the one that I least recommend. So if there are other options for this situation, please drop them in the comment. And also please remember that those are the options that you see and most likely you see for yourself. Okay, so we got to keep that perspective always. Okay, and otherwise just let me know what you thought of the insights here. And I'll see you with episode number 4 sometime this month.